The first day. Hey, look, we're back on the fucking island again.
With whoever. You know, what's his name?
Yeah, you've already forgotten me. I've been off of camera for too long. I will not be forgotten in my own game. It was already approaching 10 o'clock at night. By now, the typhoon had wrapped itself around Rokkenjima. Even the rose garden that looked so beautiful midday was beaten down upon by the fierce winds and resisted with all its might, undulating and trying to keep the flowers from blowing away. In that rose garden was Shannon in the lead, Battler holding up an umbrella, Jessica and George carrying the sleeping Maria on his back, all heading for the guest house. Did we decide that, so the real-world Battler here in the story gets the goofy voice, the Goofus Maluvas voice, right?
I guess.
Because Metaverse Battler was getting too much play.
Okay.
Yeah. We can at least make it to the guest house from here. Shannon-chan, it's fine. You should go back and rest.
Don't worry, seeing you off is also part of my duty.
My god, I feel like we haven't been in this game for a while.
Yeah, it's weird. I barely remember what my own voice sounds like.
That's so strange.
The family conference is going on inside, and Mom and Genji-san are probably getting stressed. If we keep you, they'll misunderstand and think you were being lazy. That's right. Just graciously accepting our offer might be the best way to avoid burdening people.
Well, George, you really know how to phrase that.
Thank you, Shannon. Not at all. Certainly, as Milady has said, it is very tense inside the mansion today. Therefore, coming with all of you allowed me a breath of fresh air, and I've been able to relax a bit.
The family conference, huh? They went to all the trouble of chasing us kids out, so they're probably talking about something shady. Also, it's so weird to refer to us as children. George, you're like 26. You're an adult. What the hell? I get that it's a generational thing, but still.
Probably. I'm sure there's nothing we can do to help out. Just trying to stay out of their way is probably the best way for us to be useful. I'm sure it's all just money, money, money.
Money, 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 money.
Money.
That's what I want. My favorite Pink Floyd song.
Even though they act like they're so rich most of the time, when it gets tough, they all start getting pushy.
I love Antsy Jessica face. It's very good.
Why don't they just be graceful and split it evenly between everyone?
That'd be awesome. It'd be nice if I got a share too. If I got some too, I'd split it with Shannon-chan right away.
Thank you very much. Well, I appreciate the sentiment.
It's easy to share money I don't have.
Shannon isn't greedy at all. Normally, girls of your age would have tons of things they'd want to buy. I guess. But none of the things I want can be bought. With money, at least.
Like away off this island?
No, that one could be bought with money.
Really? Help! Help me! Ooh, how unselfish. If you lined up all the things I wanted, all the gold in the world wouldn't be enough.
That's if you're talking about things that can be bought with money.
I am.
I wonder what these things that can't be bought with money that Shannon wants are. Do you have any idea, George Nissan? Well, I wonder. I'm not Shannon, so how could I know? I don't know either.
Jessica, this isn't working. We need a new approach. George and Shannon looked down, their faces red. Battler had also heard about what was going on with them, so he knew what Jessica was teasing them about. George Unneke is a person I respect, and if you've ever met the name Battler, you know that first name is Respect, middle name Respect, last name Battler. I think you've met up with a really great person, Shannon-chan.
Yeah. I also feel relieved that we can leave Shannon to George Nissan. Stop teasing. It's a serious issue for us.
Well, I'm sure it is.
More importantly, what about you, Jessica-chan? Have you been able to get a little closer to Canon-kun?
What? Look at that Jessica face! Look at that Jessica face! Oh, protect that smile. Oh, I love it. So you and Kid and Coon are like that? What does that look like? No. Yeah.
Well, that's dirty, George. Twisting the conversation around like that's dirty.
I never thought Kenan was the kind to find some love in someone else. He always struck me as a loner, the type who would be up staring at the distance going, oh, bloody hell, woe was I.
Yeah, me neither, until we got through chapter 2. He really turned a corner in his characterization toward the end of that one.
Oh, don't I remember that? We talked about doing this. We gotta keep it under wraps while the people are watching. As they had an animated discussion with ups and downs, the 4 kids headed for the guest house. The annual family conference was extremely important to the Ushiromiya family, and this year seemed like it was going to be especially important. Apparently, the family head, Kinzo, was personally going to be making a very serious announcement, and everyone other than the adults had been strictly ordered to leave. Battler hadn't attended the family conference in 6 years, so he didn't really notice. But according to Jessica, there seemed to be a very tense atmosphere tonight. Completely different from a normal year. Common sense made it clear that Kinzo, whose remaining life was short, was going to make some big announcement about the succession of the headship in the distribution of his fortune. But I'm surprised. I think that grandfather's actually going to make an appearance.
I see. So this is the witch's counterattack. I wanted to leave the Joker called Kinzo face down a little longer, but it's probably about time to turn it over.
You know, us talking in, like, card game and, like, chess analogies doesn't actually make us sound smarter.
I literally have no other point of reference to talk to people, so I'm sorry.
I just realized it the other day when I was saying some of the... Like, I read back over our conversations and I'm like, wow, I thought it was making me sound smart. But no, I just sound like I don't know what I'm talking about.
Read the they're written down?
Yeah, haven't you seen the log? Scroll up, it's right there.
Fuck.
Like, right here, see?
That's so useful.
It is.
Trump cards exist to be used.
Damn. My theory that grandfather was dead since the beginning, and a different 18th person had snuck in, is now suddenly torn apart.
I had foreseen that you'd begin to doubt Kinzo eventually. Yes, now your reasoning has all gone back to square one again, right? With this, your theory that Kinzo was dead at the very beginning, and I was hiding at the 18th person, goes poof.
You don't need to make it sound really weird like that.
Yeah, I do.
Fuck. That's not even a good place to drop a fuck.
Let battlers say fuck.
I can say fuck all I want. It's just like, it made no sense here. It's just like, it just seems like they're making me edgy for the sake of being edgy.
Say the line.
Fuck. But there's no way I'll lose hard. That's only one theory gone. I'll attack you like a storm, like a tornado, like a storm-nado.
I see.
Cradle,
I see.
fist bump.
What?
Yeah, that's right.
I see. So you're gonna, like, cast a bunch of spells in one turn, and then another spell that'll copy itself for each spell cast previously. Oh. I'd have it no other way.
I thought you were about to say that's against the rules, isn't it? To cast a bunch of spells on one turn.
Are you going to try and resolve Gifts Ungiven?
You've been playing way more MTG than I have. I can't keep up.
I'm holding a Flusterstorm for your Grave Shot, Battler. Just so you know.
I'm sure those words make sense.
I'd have it no other way. Even the first Twilight has not yet begun. It is far too early to give up. That's right. And it's not like it was denied with the Red Truth. At this point in time, Battler's theory hasn't been defeated. It's too early to say that you've won.
Ugh, yeah, that's right. It's still too early for me to just swallow her story. Grandfather's supposed to finally appear, but there's a chance they'll talk about how his health has gotten worse and he won't appear after all. Uncle Kraus might be trying desperately to hide the fact that grandfather really is dead until the last second.
Ha! I see. You could also think of it that way. Do as you please. It will be resolved soon. Very soon.
All of the relatives and Nanjo could be seen in the dining hall. Don't mind me, I'll just be over here playing my Nintendo Switch. my nephew's got me into it. Something called Fortnite. Nanjo sat alone, quietly watching the wind and rain outside. Kraft sat down in the seat of his own rank, with Natsuhi standing motionlessly at his side. The other siblings were gathered at the opposite end of the long table, whispering to each other. Is that true?
Yes. Maria said the person who gave her the umbrella was father.
Interesting, we're just kind of glossing over all this now. But it's weird that that part is solidifying.
It's interesting that specifically Maria getting an umbrella is solidifying. But it's father this time. It's Kinzo. Wasn't any of the other times.
Yep. Unless it was.
Yeah. But I mean, it wasn't in the other...
Yeah, it wasn't purported to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What in the world? In other words, our strategy has collapsed from the roots.
Not just our strategy. Since father is healthy and has said he'll make an announcement himself, our trivial bargaining with Nissan was completely pointless. Yep. That old bastard. Why couldn't he have just shown himself right away without making a show of it? Thanks to that, we've just been quarreling with Anarchy uselessly. Well, maybe he wanted to test us on that point. I might not be one to talk since we aren't related by blood, but your father is very intelligent, correct?
So that basically makes us related.
Our arguments during the day were probably overheard by one of the servants and reported to father. Incredible. The fact that we are making a fuss with father's inheritance as our goal is now right in the open. Just incredible.
Ava
uncharacteristically held her head, dejected. Oh, I was just sounding like you there for a moment, Kyrie. Oh, yeah. I really wish this game would tell you who was talking and when. It would save us so much trouble.
I don't know. I do love the Ushiromiya family curse gag. It's pretty funny.
If, as Kyrie had said, everything had been going according to Kinzo's plans from the beginning, and if this was a huge setup that had been kept up over a year, trying to find the siblings' true intentions, then they had fallen for it completely.
We still don't know for sure that it's reached father's ears.
No, it definitely has. Everyone but Nissan claimed that father was dead, and none of us believed in father's good health. It's already over. Father will make an announcement soon. Nissan will become the successor, and he'll say that we aren't even qualified to wear the one wing. Oh, hi.
Nissan, get a hold of yourself.
Every time Rosa shows up on screen now, I just want to, Rosa-san, I wonder if Maria really received that umbrella from father.
Huh? What do you mean?
Maria-chan might have seen father. However, we haven't seen him. Maria-chan only claims to have seen him.
What are you saying? Are you saying Maria's lying?
Calm down, Rosa. Maria-chan didn't necessarily lie. Still, she's an innocent kid, right? For example, if Genji-san came up to her and said something like, I was told by your grandfather to hand this to you, Maria-sama. Then even if Maria-chan hadn't met Dad, she still might say that she got an umbrella from him, right? That's right. That trick could work.
But what was it Maria-chan said? Grandfather came and handed me the umbrella. Yes, that's what she said. She clearly said that she received an umbrella directly from grandfather.
I heard it. I want you. I got it. Directly, huh? Then we're stuck. They often say that bad thinking is no better than sleeping. If you think about it a bit, all this about the umbrella is a trivial problem. Why is that? Couldn't Maria-chan have been bribed by Nissan to lie and say something that made it seem like father was in good health? There's no evidence that the father actually handed the umbrella to her. Regardless of who Maria-chan received the umbrella from, assuming she was given an umbrella in the first place, father will appear very soon. Once father's in front of us, the problem with the umbrella will become completely trivial. In other words, this is not the time to gossip about the umbrella issue. What do you mean this isn't the time?
I see, I got it. This is probably what Kyrie-san said. Father's supposed to come here very soon, but the chance still remains that he'll get mad again and won't show up, right?
I see. That's true. Maybe Nissan just said that Father was going to appear at random, in a desperate bid to buy time against our investigation. And Father really is dead already, and Nissan is still lying and saying he's healthy. In short, if Father appears, then no schemes will be effective. There's no need to even think about that case. We're fish on the chopping board. We'd have no choice but to leave fate to the heavens and negotiate directly with Father. That means we'd have no choice but to let him clobber us with his fist, then prostrate ourselves and beg for money. But on the other hand, if Father doesn't appear, then our primary strategy isn't hampered in the least.
I see. In short, no matter which way it goes, there's absolutely no need to get flustered now.
That's it. If Father shows up, we'll just have to carry out the normal family conference. If he doesn't, we'll just have to keep investigating Kraus-san.
We can't let him talk his way out of it. Like if he says Father's mood has suddenly gotten worse.
It seems what we really should be trying to figure out is what scheme Nissan is going to try and trick us with. The way he just doesn't know how to give up is something that I know better than anyone.
If Father is well, we'll prostrate ourselves and beg for money. If it's a farce of Kraus-san's, then we'll continue our ugly sibling fight. It sounds like this year's family conference is going to be just wonderful.
Yep. So bad thinking is no better than sleeping, huh? It's almost 10. Shall we press on a key? Rudolph and the rest looked at Kraus. He was sitting down firmly and looked like he was awaiting Kinzo's arrival with an air of composure. They couldn't I know you're pressing me. They couldn't tell if he really was composed or if he was scheming about how to tie together his lie.
Dear.
Calm yourself. We won't get anywhere by making a fuss after all this. Let's leave it to Genji-san.
It's almost 10, isn't it?
That was the time that had been set for tonight's family conference to open, and it was the time that the Ushiromiya family had needed to appear. Right then, they heard the sound of footsteps approaching from the hall. There were multiple sets. Natsuhi raised her head, relieved. Because of the sound of a knock, her expression was filled with disappointment. Because Kinzo probably wouldn't have knocked.
Please excuse us. I finished closing up the mansion for the night.
It was Goda and Kumasawa. Unlike the powerful Goda, it was rare for Kumasawa with her old body to be forced to work this late.
Oh no, it's so painful.
Oh no!
Of course, Kraus also seemed to know that.
Indeed. Good work. My apologies for making you work at such a time, Kumasawa-san. Oh, it's nothing. I may not look it, but staying up late is still one of my specialties. Oh.
Wouldn't it be okay to at least let Kumasawa leave without being an observer? It really will be difficult on her body, I imagine.
The order was to gather all the servants as well. I cannot disobey.
Tonight's family conference was clearly different from normal. On a normal year, no one was allowed to attend except family members. To have the servants present for such a thing was unthinkable. But this year was different. All of the servants were told to attend. Of course, they were not allowed to talk. They were there as observers. Just what in the world was happening that needed to be observed by 5 servants? Even Kraus didn't know.
I don't look it, but I'm good at staying up late. If you stuff yourself with mackerel too, Kraus-sama, you'll be more manly at night. If you know what I mean. And I think that you do. I see you're still in high spirits. I'm sure you'll be working in such high spirits until you're 100. Madam, forgive my arrogance, but I prepared a light snack. I can serve it at any time, so feel free to order it.
Thank you. You really are considerate.
Oh, thank you. I'm just Goda.
Please offer refills of coffee to the others.
Certainly.
After nodding, Goda took the pot towards the relatives gathered at the other end of the table. As he did, more footsteps approached from the hallway. It was a single set, and it was light. Even before the knock, they could imagine who it was.
Excuse me. I've taken the children to the guest house.
Shannon, aren't some of them older than you? Like most of them?
And yet... Good work. Tonight is a special evening. Make sure you stay alert. You've got to observe, or so I'm told. Yes, certainly, madam.
Genji had gone with Cannon to meet Kinzo. There was still no sign of their return. The hand of the clock passed 2200, slightly. Once sure of that, Ava spoke to Kraus. Nissan, it is time. Are you still not going to start the family conference?
The arrival of the guest of honor has been delayed. Wait a short while.
How long? I'm sorry, but time is up. I won't have you saying father hasn't quite shown up yet, over and over until dawn.
How can I make a promise about the time father shows up? Why are you in such a rush? Why not drink some tea and calm down for now? It's my favorite letter after all. Anarchy, we gathered here for a family conference, not a farce. We'll wait 30 more minutes. If that doesn't work, you'll let us break into the study. Okay?
Break into... Such an action would be quite lacking in respect for the head.
Oh, right. Our apologies. We'll be good for 30 more minutes.
Nah.
I look forward to seeing if you can keep that same smile up 30 minutes from now.
Do you honestly believe that father is dead?
I have no desire to discuss that now. We can wait until father comes here. There's absolutely no need for me to argue with you down, Nissan.
The Ushuaia friendship will be passed on to the proper person in the proper manner. No matter what you may scheme, you cannot resist. Resistance is futile. Nah. Of course, the same goes for me.
What are you trying to say? After bragging all these years about being the successor yourself.
I'll turn your words back on you. I have no desire to discuss that now. All that matters is for father to come here and proclaim it with his own mouth. There's absolutely no need for me to argue you down. Right?
Kraus casually turned Ava's words back on her. Of course, that added oil to Ava's anger. But it didn't ignite. Because in that instant, the sound of a very loud knock rang out. Just one knock. Brong! Both Genji and Cannon were usually very reserved when they knocked. They wouldn't hit the door with such a violent strength. It was like a judge's gavel slamming down in a call for silence. So everyone went quiet. The door opened slightly and Genji showed himself. Then he spoke with a serious tone different from his usual one. It wasn't the tone he used when carrying out his duties.
A serious tone, different from his usual extremely silly tone.
It was the tone he used when speaking for Kinzo himself. So just by hearing Genji speak like that, the siblings were struck with a sudden tension. Take your seats, everyone. At those words, the dining hall was wrapped in total silence, and everyone hurriedly returned to their designated seats. It was as though the students who had been bustling around just before homeroom had suddenly returned to their seats when the teacher came, and it might have even looked humorous. But there was no way anyone would joke about it. Everyone sat in order, and Shannon, Goda, and Kumasawa stood up straight in a row by the wall. The head of the glorious Ushiromiya family, and Lord of Rokkenjima, and the island that sparkles gold. Lord Ushiromiya Kinzo has arrived. Over the double doors that led to the dining hall, Genji opened the right door from the inside, and Cannon opened the left door from the outside. We need to see more Kinzo with crazy eyes. And welcomed by a respectful bow from those two, majestically fluttering his cape, Kinzo appeared. Kinzo's gait had a dignified weight to it, and it was hard to believe that he had reportedly been at the end of his life. Genji pulled back to Kinzo's seat and motioned for him to sit. But Kinzo stayed standing, signaling with his chin for Genji to move back.
Welcome to Rokkenjima, ladies and gentlemen. Why the frightened face, Ava?
No, why would I be frightened? I'm just relieved to find you in excellent spirits, Father.
Ava, you're as amusing as ever, aren't you? Why don't you just honestly say how frustrated you are at losing your bet with Kraus? You can't say it, can you?
Ava realized that their conversation during the day had indeed been leaked to Kinzo, and she hung her head, turning red.
Well then, my sons and daughters and their companions. Tonight, I shall make an important announcement regarding Shadow the Hedgehog. As well as my inheritance and the succession that you all seem so keen on.
We're not gonna do it, but we could. But we're not going to.
But first, I must tell you how incredibly disappointed I am. After all, until this very day, no one has been able to solve the riddle of the Epitaph.
Even though Kinzo said he was disappointed, a condescending smile rose to his face as though there was no way the likes of these could have solved it, and his gaze passed through all of them.
I had planned to hand over everything to the one who could solve it, but none have been able to solve it before today, and here we stand, with nothing of mine passed down to anyone. How shameful.
Good God! What is it, new image, Kinzo? Oh, right, we've seen that one, but still.
To think that not one among us has come forward with the qualifications to succeed me.
Kinzo's looking kinda sus. I think he's the imposter.
How truly disappointing and shameful and pathetic.
The siblings hung their heads in silence. Of course they would have solved it if they could. True, they couldn't deny that they'd wasted a golden opportunity, but it was just so hard.
Therefore, I am proclaiming here and now that I will suspend the use of the Epitaph's riddle as a method of choosing my successor. In short, time's up. This is game over. And what a shame for you all. Even though it should have given you all an equal and fair chance. That's gone now.
It truly sounded like Kinzo was making a victory proclamation.
In that case, will my oldest son Kraus succeed the headship? The answer is no.
What?
Nah.
You understand, right, Kraus? I certainly gave you the title of successor, but all you did was let it go to your head. Do you know what a successor is?
It means the person who will inherit your position after you, father.
Wrong! The position of successor isn't something that's guaranteed by the current head at all. Listen up, Kraus, I won't tell you this again. A successor is what you call someone who finds everyone else who's after the headship, thoroughly breaks their noses, and makes it so they can never disobey him again. This is not only something that can be said of the headship, it's the same with money. A rich person doesn't mean someone who has money. It means someone who crushes everyone who had more money than himself, and who scrabbles together more money than anyone else. It's the same with talent. A genius is not what you call a person blessed with talent. It means a person who crushes everyone with more talent than themselves. A person who can coerce geniuses and all other people to call them that using strength and charisma. You have a mistaken impression when it comes to all of these things. So you aren't of the right caliber to be my successor.
What is up, Kinzo?
I'll take your words to heart.
Perhaps that truly was Kinzo's philosophy. As a result of faithfully carrying out that rant-like philosophy of his, Kinzo had glorified the Ushiromiya family to the state it was in today. It may be hard to imagine after his immersion in the occult in recent years, but that brutally overbearing outlook was no more or less than Ushiromiya Kinzo's charisma and aura.
Such an unsatisfactory person is not qualified to inherit everything of the Ushiromiya family. In that case, is Ava, Rudolph, or Rosa qualified? Again, no. You were unable to solve the riddle, and you were also unable to use a scheme to drag Kraus down. All the three of you managed to do was gather together in a united front to try and extort money from Kraus. And even that scheme was thoughtless. You can't even corner Kraus all by himself. There could be nothing more shameful. You lack the avarice to steal away the position of successor by any means. In order to get what you want, you should sacrifice everything, becoming as covetous and greedy as possible. The goddess of luck smiles upon the greedy. You three, who don't have that wild spirit, are as unfit for the succession as Kraus is.
Ava and the rest had no words to respond with, and they couldn't calculate what it was Kinzo was about to say. Was Kinzo actually planning to proclaim that no one would succeed the headship? If so, that would work to Ava, Rosa, and Rudolph's advantage. After all, in the end, they just have to renegotiate everything among the siblings after Kinzo's death, splitting the inheritance evenly.
What if it goes to Battler just because Battler was the one who was estranged from the family?
Battler was the one good who had enough sense to not show up.
Like, everybody else, Kinzo's probably extremely bitter toward, even if just because they're related to someone who sucks in Kinzo's eyes. But Battler at least just, like, fucked off and didn't talk to anyone, so maybe he's just like, fuck you guys, Battler gets it.
That would be pretty great. It would surely be more troublesome if a specific person's name was raised and proclaimed to be the successor. But would Kinzo really say something to benefit any of the four siblings after demeaning them so much?
It also wouldn't benefit any of the siblings very much, given that Battler hates his dad.
Yeah, exactly.
So it would perfectly fuck over everyone equally.
Yep. You don't think he's going to say that because no one will succeed him? He'll donate all of his fortune to charity or something, right?
I'm afraid I wouldn't put it past Father. Aside from the charity bit, I'd figured he'd just set fire to it or throw it into the ocean.
That does sound like him. The blood's just risen to his head. We can't do anything but let him talk for now. Well then, Father, what thoughts do you have regarding the succession of the headship?
Since I am so utterly disappointed in all of you, I've lost the desire to hand it over to anyone. Therefore, the Ushiromiya family will end here.
I'm killing all of you tonight.
It ends with my generation. Not your generation, mine.
You're talking about my generation?
Yes.
That cannot...
The Ushiromiya family was crushed long ago in that earthquake. The current Ushiromiya family is nothing but an illusion of gold I'm glimpsing for an instant, the likes of which will end when I awaken from my slumber. Everything in this world is a dream, an illusion. Life is but a daydream before the awakening called death. Ah, yes, that's how it was from the beginning. That I should lose everything when I die was part of Beatrice's contract, and her curse. As if I'd let you, Beatrice. I will be the one who captures you. Tonight, that goal will be realized.
For a while, Kinzo was overcome with cackling, and his eyes bulged. Whenever he talked about Beatrice, it was always both eloquent and insane.
Foolish children such as yourselves truly are daydreams. It's as though you were never there from the beginning. Disappear, wake up, disappear from the doze of the truth that I am. You failures that have not built up anything that makes you worthy to succeed me.
Kinzo-san, if I may.
What is it, my friend?
Oh, is that the curse? Does that mean I'm over now?
Oh fuck, does this mean you're the successor?
Nanjo nervously raised his hand, asking to speak. Kinzo allowed him to. I understand how you feel, Kinzo-san. Because you love your children, you expect a lot of them. And as a parent and grandparent myself, I understand how parental affection can make you feel as though your expectations were betrayed. However, you are extraordinary, Kinzo-san. A genius. Isn't saying that it's only natural for them to catch up to you a little too fast? Despite that, Kraus-san, Ava-san, Rudolph-san, Rosa-san, and all of their partners have done their very best to catch up with you.
Oh, and just how much money have they built up with this doing their best? After these cowards fail completely in ventures and gain debt, and still try to sponge off me, how can you say that they did their very best? Money is the crystallization of everything in this world. If you cannot grasp that, then you cannot grasp the world. If a life cannot strongly grasp this world, it doesn't deserve to live. Disappear. Disappear from my life and reality.
To wreck this argument. Without logic, even I must not live.
Even so, I believe the time I spent playing chess with you was worthwhile for both of us, Kinzo-san. You should know better than anyone else here that there are many things in this world that cannot be bought with money. Wow. Fucking the sack on Nanjo over here. As the siblings motionlessly hung their heads, they cheered Nanjo on inside their hearts. Not one of the siblings could offer their opinion in front of Kinzo in a rage, but Kinzo's close friend Nanjo was allowed to. Even though Kinzo had raged so fiercely, after being admonished by Nanjo, he nodded several times, as though in agreement. This surprisingly obedient side of him might have seemed cute, but there was no one here who could laugh. It may be true that your children haven't built up as great a fortune as you have, Kinzo-san. Though even so, they are rich enough to make me jealous. But besides money, they have also built up many things that cannot be bought with money. When it comes to that, they are no way inferior to you, Kinzo-san.
Oh, and what do you claim they have built up that cannot be bought with money?
Happiness. Family. They have founded wonderful partners, had children, and each has built up their own happy home. They have glorified your family name and have brought back grandchildren. Grandchildren are wonderful. We older people can look at these young grandchildren who will live on into a new era that we will not even be given a chance to see. And in them we can imagine an endless future. Isn't that the sole entertainment we have in our old age? Remember, Kinzo-san. Remember your joy when they first brought back their grandchildren. Your children and your grandchildren will carry your great work on to future generations, setting an example. That is something that an individual cannot accomplish no matter how much money they have.
The siblings all nodded in agreement. Certainly Kinzo had looked happy when his grandchildren had just been born, back when he still had some sanity in his heart. However, Kinzo's heart still contained a human... Did Kinzo's heart still contain a human's warmth?
In other words, in exchange for the vast riches I created, instead of gaining money, I have gained my grandchildren.
No, that is not what I...
So in exchange for the several tens of billions of wealth that I have built up, I have gained a single grandchild from each of my children. This is wonderful. So I have created a single life using 10 billion yen. That's how it is. Interesting. Truly an interesting example in the alchemical sense, right? Oh, what valuable grandchildren. Wonderful, wonderful. Is that right, Kraus? Is your daughter worth 10 billion yen?
Nah. Kraus couldn't answer instantly. It wasn't that he didn't have confidence in his daughter. It was because he didn't have a clue what Kinzo was trying to test him with in this question. But when Natsuki was then pressed for an answer, she responded, breaking Kraus's silence with an answer of her own interpretation.
Yes, Jessica is a daughter I wouldn't let go of, even for 10 billion yen. In that sense, I believe she has a value that can't be measured with money. Oh.
Okay. Well, you're still kind of a shit, but like, okay. You didn't sell your daughter for 10 billion yen. Clap, clap. It's for you, Natsuki.
So you can state for certain that she's worth 10 billion. What about you, Ava? What about your George?
Since Natsuki had answered that way, Ava naturally came up with her own answer as well. Even though Ava should have known better than to respond with a provocative question like this, she answered as well. Yes, father, George is worth 10 billion. No, even more than that. And that's not in the abstract sense of things that money can't buy. George will certainly build up a fortune equal to his worth. He'll become a grandson worthy of carrying on your great works, father. Ava sent a glance at Hideyoshi and Natsuki as if she'd scored a point. When she heard what Ava had said, Natsuki was about to add more praise for her daughter, but stopped at a glare from Kraus.
I see. Then what about you, Rudolph? What about your battler?
He's a little piece of shit. You want him? Take him.
Oh, I knew it would end this way!
Compared to George Clinton, there's nothing battler I can brag about. He was kidnapped and we were threatened with a ransom of 10 billion. I'd feel like sticking a bow on the guy and letting him have him.
I mean, fair. Harsh? Yes. Fair? Yes.
On top of that, he's an idiot and he's reckless. Talks about grand dreams and things that couldn't be done. Guess in that way he's a super idiot worth the equivalent of 10 billion normal idiots. But I'm sure that guy could do things that even a group of 10 billion average people couldn't do. Well, pretty sure he'll fall flat on his face. The world isn't easy. At the very least, there's no doubt in watching That watching over his life will be more fun than looking at 10 billion average people. Ava clicked her tongue at that clever style of speech, which would probably match Kinzo's taste. Apparently Rudolph had done that on purpose, so he grinned back at her.
What of Maria? Actually, can I take the 10 billion yen deal?
Ooh intensifies.
Maria is my adorable and only daughter. Her value cannot be measured with money.
See, we know Rose is lying through her teeth here.
That is all. I see. Dreams in the future, miracles and possibilities are the source of my magical power. No magic without hopes holds any strength. I cannot expect any more from you, who have proven to be average. But I see. My grandchildren... Wow. My grandchildren hold future possibilities, and expecting a magical miracle from them may be worthwhile. If you're saying that, in this way, they are worth more than 10 billion. Yes, I can see where you're coming from.
When Kinzo got in a rage, he wouldn't let anyone speak up, but even so, he would sometimes accept something on his own while yelling by himself and change his own opinion. That's what this felt like to the siblings. Apparently, even though Kinzo had been disgusted by his unsuccessful children and had cast them away as being unfit for the inheritance of his title or fortune, he wasn't sure about his grandchildren. At this rate, he might soon say that the inheritance would go to his grandchildren instead of the siblings. As the siblings sat in fear of what their fickle and short-tempered father might suddenly think of next, they carefully watched his every move. I feel like I just got thrown under the bus. How are you all doing? I'll take the bus.
Oh.
No, poor Maria.
Let me change my thinking a little. I have absolutely no desire to hand over all I have to any of you. However, it will be quite interesting to question the grandchildren, to see if one of them is qualified. I've always thought of them as mere kids, but there's a chance I'll find a shining gem amongst them that will catch me off guard. And testing them for that would be... Yes, it would be a shame to abandon that final side trip in my remaining life. Well then, what shall I do?
I can with confidence recommend George as someone fitting to follow after you. Ava claimed that right away. Not that he looked like she was about to follow along, but Krause gave her a look telling her to restrain herself, so she swallowed her words.
How bold. Then let us do this. I will individually question the grandchildren to see if they are qualified to succeed the Ushiromiya family inheritance and wealth.
Father.
However, that does not mean that one of you will indirectly receive the inheritance. I am already disappointed in you all. There is no longer anything I have to give you. Not a thing. The ones I will question are my grandchildren, and the ones who might succeed me are my grandchildren. Make absolutely sure that you do not mistake this. Understood?
I shall obey father's decision.
Same here. I'll go along with what he decides. What about you, Aniki? Of course. I believe Father will make a wise judgment.
I will also obey Father's decision. I shall think of how to test my grandchildren, which means this is no longer any business of yours. After all, none of you are involved with the succession in any way now. So right here, right now, perhaps we should discuss a different matter that does involve you.
Death!
A different matter?
Indeed. That is tonight's true purpose, and the true purpose for this final Ushiromiya family conference as well. I have no desire to hear your thoughts and opinions. I demand only your assistance. Assistance in my ceremony.
Your ceremony?
Quiet. Father's talking now. Rudolph and the rest had automatically narrowed their brows at the occult-like word. Could he be planning to start some strange ceremony involving Beatrice's resurrection again? And he wanted their assistance?
Again? Like
What?
he keeps doing this?
Every year we go through this.
Wacky sitcom spin-off about Granddaddy Kinzo constantly trying to do Beato
And every episode
ceremonies.
ends with everyone dead. And they're all inexplicably back alive for the next one. Yes! Yes, this does sound great. What in the world was he planning to do? In the past, he had carried out many eccentricities that he called by the same name, such as starting to burn a strange incense and filling the whole mansion with the stench. To the siblings, a ceremony was nothing more than one of the aged Kinzo's obnoxious hobbies.
Father, just what do you mean by that?
If we can assist you, we'll do anything. Right, Rosa?
Yes. But what in the world is it?
You'll say you'll do anything for me.
You say you'll do anything, then perish.
A ceremony as inscribed in my epitaph. A ceremony to revive Beatrice and open the door to the Golden Land. That witch who escaped her cage of flesh and sneeringly slipped through my fingers, I shall now capture and force into submission with my greatest hidden art. For that purpose, I must offer 13 people as sacrifices. Gathering 13 people's worth of sacrifices is no easy feat. But tonight is the family conference. Many adults have gathered on Rokkenjima. There could be no other day on which to carry out this ceremony.
Taken literally, it sounded like he was telling them to become human sacrifices for his dark ceremony and die. Ridiculous. Some kind of metaphor? They didn't even have a clue what he was trying to illustrate. The siblings whispered together about what Kinzo was saying.
What's Dad going on about? Is this his usual sickness? Probably. Listen silently for now.
I'm sorry, Father. I don't understand what you mean by that.
What is it you don't understand? I am making this extremely simple. I told you that I'll choose 13 of the humans on this island and offer them as sacrifices in a ceremony to revive Beatrice. Even worthless people like you can be very useful as sacrifices in my ceremony. Listen, this is not a joke nor anything of the sort. This is my final bet, my final ceremony, the last one I will desire in my life. There are now more than 13 humans on this island. In short, that's a head count that can easily satisfy the massive number of sacrifices I require. Become the sacrifices for my ceremony.
Kinzo-san, you weren't serious about what you said back there, were you? It wasn't a joke?
Unusually for him, Nanjo's face changed color as he stood up and shouted. It seemed this wasn't the first time Nanjo had heard all about this dark talk about 13 sacrifices.
Sorry, my friend, that was no joke nor anything of the sort. It is what I bet my life on, the final ceremony, the final game that I will attempt. Yes, this is a game. If gaining my fortune and leaving the island is your goal, then there are only 2 ways to achieve it. Will you escape being chosen as one of the 13 sacrifices and spectacularly survive by finally solving the riddle of the Epitaph and stopping the ceremony? Or will you kill me and thereby stop the ceremony? Those are your only 2 options.
By now, everyone wasn't just whispering, but chattering and muttering away. Even the siblings had noticed that Kinzo was beginning to act abnormally.
Father, are you a little tired? Genji-san, has father been drinking?
No. The master is sensible.
Sorry, Dad, I don't have a clue what you're talking about. Dad's free to start up any weird ceremony he wants to revive the witch he loves. That's his hobby. But getting wrapped up in that, being made into a human sacrifice is a little more than I can handle.
Rudolph, are you trying to interrupt Father?
What are you talking about, Anarchy? Expect me to listen to something that's shady and say, oh, really?
Was the ceremony Kinzo had mentioned literally something disturbing? Or was it some kind of test to choose the successor? It seemed that Rudolph had taken it literally, but Ava apparently still believed that it was something like a test or examination to find a proper successor. But Kinzo responded with a clear smile.
Well then, that is all I have to say. No objections or opinions are necessary from you. I will simply awaken from my dream of having 4 unsuccessful children. To all of you, what will occur now before your very eyes may seem like a dream, an illusion, something that couldn't conceivably be of this world, and a world that defies understanding. But that itself is my reality. Now I will finally awaken from the shallow, useless dream that all of you are. Come, the game has already begun, see? With this many of you here, I can take life starting with anyone. So long, my unsuccessful children. And for the final and only time in your lives, be useful for my ceremony. Arise, Pendragon's memorial troops.
Yeah. when Kinzo raised his arms high like an opera singer and yelled as though towards his packed audience. The air shattered like glass, and the outlines of 3 people who supposedly hadn't been invited to the island appeared.
Chester 45, right here.
Yeah.
Chester 420, right here.
We talked about this. We weren't going to do this every time.
All right.
Who the fuck are you?
Chester 419. 418.
Why is it going to... Who the hell is this?
Chester 00, right here, sir.
Who the hell are you?
Chester 00, obviously.
There's a third one?
Why do all of the furniture have the panties exposing halfway around skirt?
I gotta
All
assume
of
it's just
them.
part of Kinzo's taste.
Yeah.
Right? 3 girls with strange forms suddenly appeared behind Kinzo. Where from? When? Who? Who were they? The humans were thrown off balance and their minds went blank. Because they spent all that time thinking, they lost their last chance to survive.
Calling it now, there's going to be 4 of them in total. Eventually another one will show up. There'll be exactly 4 because of the 4 rabbits from the orchestra.
Oh
orchestra.
no! I hadn't put that together yet! Oh, you are absolutely right. You are absolutely right. That is... Oh, that's so sad. Oh my gosh.
That's so sad.
Chester 420. The Wonderwall. Play Despacito. There we go.
You have permission to shoot 6 to death. I leave the choice of targets up to you. Begin your attack. Unrestricted firing. Understood, sir. Thank you for granting us such excellent targets. Everyone, commence unrestricted firing. First one in, yeah.
When 410 scratched the air with her finger, a golden bow appeared in empty space, and she pulled its string back. The golden arrow that had been readied there was fired off without any hesitation, flew around the room, leaving haphazard gold curves everywhere, and chose Natsuhi from among those sitting at the table of the family conference, pulverizing the left half of her face. Flesh and deep red blood scattered around, leaving massive red splatter marks on the relatives' faces in pure white tablecloth. Silence fell. Despite the massive number of deep red spots left on the tablecloth, no one could understand why Natsuhi's head was half smashed, nor why she was hanging her head as though dozing while still sitting. And they watched on in silence. Those sitting on Natsuhi's right-hand side were silent for a relatively long time, but those sitting to her left were not, because the people sitting on that side had been shown how her head had been smashed open like a watermelon or a pomegranate, and could even see inside her. Natsuhi.
1 down. Natsuhi, is it? A luckless woman to the end.
Wow, rude. Now, if this is how we've seen it in other times, is Kinzo also counting himself among the targets here?
Oh, certainly.
Is he putting himself... Yeah.
Certainly. He did say that choose the targets from anybody. He didn't say anybody but me.
Yep, that's true.
Next. 00, firing.
After scratching the empty air in the same way and readying her bow, 00 fired as well. After it flew around and fired around at high speeds like the golden arrow 410 had released, drawing a convoluted curve in the same manner, smashed half of Rudolph's head in the same way as he looked at Natsuhi in shock, killing him instantly. This time, everyone managed to avoid freezing up mentally. They realized that a fearsome murder had started playing out right in front of them, just as Kinzo had said, and they realized that Kinzo would probably kill even more. Ah! Kya! Shrill screams burst out. Even so, they didn't know what to do, so they could only keep screaming and flapping their wide-open mouths like goldfish. Father, what do you think you're doing?
You fool. Run now.
As Ava asked Kinzo in that total shock, Hideyoshi, who had come to his senses faster than anyone else and risen to his feet, pulled her arm from behind. However, merciless fate's choice for the third sacrifice was Hideyoshi. So if we know that this is going to be consistent now, we know who lived through this. It'll supposedly be Ava.
I don't know that we know that.
Okay. Just like the two before him, half of Hideyoshi's head was neatly smashed, and the right side of his head, which had happened to be facing that direction at the time, had been blown away with its contents exposed like a watermelon or a pomegranate. So still holding Ava, Hideyoshi slumped backwards and fell down. Still held by her beloved husband, Ava fell over backwards with him. Dear? Dear! Ah! Ava screamed. It was only natural. The face she had been looking for had been half lost, and the crushed skull, the mashed brains, and the crushed jaw all lay bare.
45. Impact. It's a hit. Spectacular. Fire again. 3 more remain.
Father! What is this supposed to be?
When Kraus stood up forcefully and was about to rush Kinzo, Double O blocked him. With her slender-looking body, she held back Kraus with just the palm of her right hand. He still tried to resist and attack Kinzo, so Double O lifted Kraus by the nape of his neck and twisted into his Adam's apple with her thumb. It seemed to be very painful, and Kraus was overcome with agony.
No! Everyone run! Get to the police! An ambulance! Quickly! Everyone, let's escape! Escape!
Nandra's sharp words finally dissolved the spell that had been holding them down in their chairs. When Goda and Kumasawa each tried to escape from the dining hall first, 410 moved in an instant and appeared there, blocking the way.
You sure are slow, yeah. Did you think I'd let you escape, yeah?
Me?
Help me!
Goda-san, duck!
Even though Goda didn't understand, he crouched when he heard Kirie's sharp voice. Oh, of all the times for the curse to take effect. Then a burst of air rushed above his head. Kirie had taken a big swing with a chair to mow 410 down. Kirie, again, being the competent one here, somehow. But 410, still with a mocking expression, easily caught that widely swung chair with a single hand.
What a scary woman, yeah. You really want to go the same way as your husband that much?
From the cuff of her arm where she had caught the chair, something like a shining golden snake appeared, wrapped itself around the chair, and burst open. It was a fearsome power like a vice. When Kirie realized what the being in front of her, which looked like a girl, was actually something that surpassed human knowledge, that a human could not even begin to oppose, her head was filled with a fierce alarm bell that welled up from deep inside her. Genji, Shannon, and Cannon, all of the servants who permitted to wear the one-winged eagle, continued to stand calmly at attention by the wall, even with a scene like this before their eyes, making them look very bizarre and eerie. For an instant, Kirie thought that they'd managed to stay calm because they were with the enemy, and had been given a guarantee they wouldn't be killed. But as soon as she thought that, the side of Genji's face was blown away before her eyes. Genji-san.
45. Impact. It's a hit. Oh, Genji, how unfortunate. Rest in peace, my friend. Your death will not be wasted. You will become one of the 13 keys essential to the resurrection of my beloved witch.
The half of Genji's expression that remained was as indifferent as ever. He tilted, fell over, and sent a blood-red splatter out across the floor.
Genji-sama.
We're nothing more than the witch's pieces. Nothing more, nothing more. For the meek and frustrated, no resigned expressions on Shannon and Cannon's faces, one couldn't sense any naive hopes that they'd be rescued. That's right, Kinzo was, in the truest sense, carrying out these murders at random. Kinzo carrying out the murders, huh? Is it just him walking around and just round-robining everyone with a shotgun?
We do know that he has guns.
Yeah, he does own a gun. It could just be him going around, and everyone's just too confused to really be like, wait, hold on, father, what? In the truest sense, he was killing like it was a game to see who would be saved and who would be killed.
Well then, who will we go for next? Yeah.
410 looked at Kirie for a second. In that second, Kirie was prepared for her own death. Wait, about your bunny theory.
Yeah?
Wouldn't there still only be 3 since one of them was destroyed?
Oh, maybe.
And that, to Maria, that would seem to be final enough, right?
Yeah.
But when she readied her golden bow in midair, 410 was looking at someone else over Kirie's shoulder. So as imprudent as it was, Kirie felt as though she had been saved. Again, an ugly, exploding, popping sound rang throughout the room. Who was it this time? When Kirie turned to face the direction of the sound, she saw blood gushing like a fountain, and Ava lying on her husband's chest. Of course, her face had been half smashed, just like her husband's.
Interesting.
410 had mercilessly targeted Ava as she clung to her husband's corpse, sobbing. Wow! Okay. Bold. So what does that mean then? What does that mean then? Because if we're to believe, like, and we're given no reason to disbelieve what's happening in 1998. Right? We're given no reason to believe that that's not what actually happens, because that's not in the magical world of these 2 days in 1986. So we know Ava has to survive.
At the same time, we don't know that this is telling the story of what led up to Ava's survival. That was just an assumption we made.
That's true. We still don't know what this story actually is.
Yeah.
I still think it could be just putting together a series of events based on certain information, but like, the more and more that goes on, the more I'm like, that doesn't seem right.
Let go of Nissan. Let go of Nissan. Just stop it, Father. Just stop this brutality.
See, they're all talking to Father. They're barely registering the fact that other people are supposedly in the room.
Yeah, and then similarly telling Kinzo to let go
Yes.
of Kraus after it was seemingly established that it was not Kinzo.
Yeah, exactly. They're all, it just seems like it's Kinzo with his gun. Just snapping at one point and deciding to start murdering his children.
Because the Chesters are Kinzo's furniture, and they can only help him kill if he's prepared to kill with his own hand.
Yep. That does seem to be the case, doesn't it? Run away, Rosa! Nah! Rosa's objection didn't reach Kinzo as he continued to laugh loudly in the blood-spattered dining hall, and she wasn't able to lessen Krause's pain at being lifted by the nape of the neck by Double O. So Rosa had no choice but to use force. She lifted up a chair beside her and gave a warning.
Father, order her to let go of Nissan.
Oh, well, okay, never mind.
That's interesting.
Never mind. 2 seconds later. Okay. Unless we don't know which her she's talking. She just says her.
Yeah. Just stop them from doing this. I cannot. If that is what you desire, then prevent it using your own power. Cut a path through to your own fate with your own hands. You who have always hid behind the backs of others in fear. Let me see you overcome your weakness one last time in your life. Father. Ah!
The chair that Rosa had lifted up swung down at the father who was reigned as a symbol of terror for her entire life. It was the greatest and final act of bravery and self-control in Rosa's life. What Kinzo had said might have been true. If she had grasped that courage much sooner, her life might have become more free, unrestrained by anyone else. Then, there was a bursting sound. The sound of Rosa's chair fiercely hitting Kinzo. Could not have been this. With the chair still lifted up, she neatly lost half of her head and slumped over. Still holding Kraus up by one hand, Double O had stuck her other hand out towards Rosa. The golden snake released from that arm had constricted Rosa in a helix and had smashed into her head.
Defensive firing. I apologize for the discourtesy of shooting so close to you, sir. I care not. So this makes 6 people. Yes, Lord Goldsmith.
Have we heard that name before? We heard Kinzo get a name that had gold in it.
Yeah, wasn't that his sorcerer name?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, just catching back up here.
This makes 6 people.
When she indifferently communicated that, Double O let go of Kraus, whom she had been lifting up this whole time.
Indeed. So the sacrifices of the first Twilight were Ava, Rudolph, Rosa, Natsuhi, Hideyoshi, and Genji.
And supposedly he's still going to go through with his plan to test his grandchildren.
Yeah.
Huh.
Maybe he tests each of them and kills those who are found wanting.
Maybe?
There's a number of single kills.
There are, but yeah. I guess all he did was guarantee they weren't going to be part of the first Twilight. It was a massacre.
Did he even necessarily guarantee that?
I think the way he phrased it was, there are like 13 people here, have your pick. I do remember the way he phrased it was like, take your pick from the people here.
Yeah.
And presumably he wouldn't, if he had the intention to do that with his grandchildren, he wouldn't want them to die right now.
Yeah.
Although he also accepted he could have died there. This blood splatter looks like Canada.
It's because of all the islands.
It is. It's because of all the islands up there. It was a massive massacre that happened in an instant. The interior of the dining hall had been dirtied by blood splatter, and the 6 unlucky victims lay with their heads brutally exposed. In a way that was fitting for that abnormal space, Kinzo's abnormal laugh alone echoed out.
The curtain has finally risen. The ceremony to revive Beatrice has begun. You lucky ones who have managed to escape the first twilight, allow me to introduce you to my friends. Arise, my friend, Ronove.
You thought you were getting through another series without me, didn't you? When Kinzo called Ronove's name, the demon butler showed himself in midair, bowing respectfully. Pleased to meet you, everyone. Would any of you care for a snickerdoodle? And good day to those of you I haven't seen for a long time. It seems this place is once again spectacularly untidy.
Pay it no mind. It takes a stimulant of this level to wake me from my daydream-like days. Allow me to introduce my friend, a reliable butler and one of the 72 great demons, Ronove.
Just showing them right to the people now, that's, I'm pleased to make your acquaintance. Just who is he making that introduction to? Kraus and Kirie, who were still down on their backsides, and Nanjo, Goda, and Kumasawa, could only look up at this middle-aged gentleman they didn't know in shock. Only Shannon and Cannon seemed to recognize him, and they bowed deeply. So I wasn't able to greet Genji. I hope he was at least able to fulfill his purpose painlessly.
It was an instant death from a direct hit to the head. He didn't have time to feel the pain.
Is that so? Very well. Man, Ronove really showing up for his buddy Genji. Want to make sure, like, no one here was. Do you see how quick Chester was to make sure, like, we did not do wrong by Genji. Don't put this on me.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to piss off Ronove.
you can kill Genji, but you have to do it cleanly.
I mean, it's weird, but yeah.
Allow me to introduce another friend. Arise, my friend, Virgilia.
Once again, a silhouette of someone the relatives didn't know appeared from empty space. She appeared in a refined dress while making an elegant greeting.
Thank you for summoning me, Master. Although I would rather not have been summoned into a bloody place such as this.
Now, given what we've heard about the context of Maria's summoning, this one interpretation of this, again, could just be Kinzo going around with his gun, shooting everyone, and then loudly proclaiming about his huge cast of friends he's gathered here, all in his mind.
Yeah. Could. Allow me to introduce her too. This is both my friend and a reliable counselor, Virgilia.
Huh.
I desire to borrow your great power as Witch of the Finite. Lend it to me. Even if I tried to refuse, such a thing wouldn't be permitted for one subordinated by the power of your summonings. As you wish, Master.
Still, what a fearsome fellow. To think he summoned 3 of the Chester Sisters Corps, then me and even Virgilia. Even though it's only in the area of summoning. Think that he surpasses Milady so thoroughly. How frightening. I can't help but shudder at the Ushiromiya blood.
Indeed, there's so much of it all around the room. I'm really shuddering. In order to carry out Beatrice's resurrection ceremony, I shall give it my all as a summoner. This still isn't enough. In order to perfectly succeed in the ceremony this time, I shall summon more.
This time?
Yes, this time. This time, in Chapter 4, we're going to put even more witches in the mansion.
Here's a bunch of more characters for you to get horny for some reason. You gonna read Kinzo's line, or?
So I totally accidentally saw a thing from, I think it was an intro to the anime or something, and saw a bunch of pictures of characters that we hadn't been introduced to yet. And at first was like, holy fuck, have I been spoiled on the entire fucking cast? Like, is there going to be all of these people? And then they continue to show up at a rapid enough clip that I'm sure everyone that I saw and was like, who is this? Is going to be here by the end of Chapter 4. And then there'll still be more.
It's so... God.
The Pendragon Memorial Troops and Ronove and Virgilia. I can still call more. With my magical power, I can still call many more.
He seems to have suggested that all the Pendragon Memorial Troops are there.
Answer to my summons. One of the 72 demons.
The Gaap. The Gaap?
The Gaap? You can even materialize her?
It probably means that the corrosion has advanced even more on this island. It had already proceeded far enough to materialize us. By now we shouldn't be surprised, no matter how great a demon he summons.
Has Rokkenjima already been completely sucked into a parallel world, then? I hope he does not surrender.
He learned a lot last time, correct? After all this time, he won't surrender over this much. Probably, I should say. Well then, shall we enjoy the stage we now stand upon? It seems the main character is the master this time. Let us expect a script of different flavor than Milady's. Oh no, we were now in the ultra blue world. Oh, no. Oh, now we're back. When Kinzo strongly concentrated his magical power, a pale light gathered in the empty air, twisted, and a magic circle was drawn there, with a deep red glow. And with a sound like glass breaking, a new demon could be seen there. What is this outfit? What is this side? Why is it only on this side and then it's still covered on the left, on the right side? It's a little more ambiguous on that one, but
yeah.
What is...
I could only afford 7/8 of a dress.
She has her top hat with the fucking... Oh, it's no longer a... It's now it's just a little checkered shield. It used to be like... Well, oh no, I guess it was still a shield there. What the hell are you, the Gaap? And with a sound like glass breaking, a new demon could be seen there.
You did well to answer my call. The Gaap, one of the 72 great demons.
This is one hell of a place you summoned me to. You told me to clean up this bloodstained room, Goldsmith?
The literally devilish woman, wrapped in a gaudy, ominous costume, looked at the scene with which should have made her cover her eyes, and twisted her mouth in a grin. To summon you for such a reason would be like using cashmere muffler to mop the floor.
It's been a long time, the Gaap. To think that a great demon such as yourself has finally appeared on this island. Perhaps this island is finally submerging completely into fantasy.
This all-star cast is even more surprising than the gruesome state of the room. A full 3 Chester sisters, the great demon Ronabe, the great witch Virgilia, and even me, the Gaap. It wouldn't be complete without me now, would it? What is going on here? Is this pandemonium? Are you trying to start a concert from hell or something? Because I'd buy tickets. I used to use a conductor for that. I couldn't think of anyone better than you, Goldsmith.
Next up, I'm going to summon Old Navy and Banana Republic. The jury's still out on whether I summon Athleta. I'm not sure if that really counts. Anyway, I will have your assistance as facilitator in the completion of my ceremony to resurrect Beatrice.
Can you resurrect my friend Sears back from the dead?
Not even the Ushiromiya Gold can do that. You have no objections to my summoning contract, correct?
Of course not. There's no way I could resist the subordinating power of the legendary Great Summoner, Lord Goldsmith, who forced the famous Great Witch Beatrice to do his bidding. I'll assist you, although I will of course ask a fitting price. So, what's my first job?
Capture the cowards who made it through the first twilight. Fortunately, there are still 7 here, aren't there? Nanjo, Shannon, Cannon, Goda, Kumasawa, Kyrie, and Kraus. Haha, if these 7 are all offered as sacrifices, that's exactly 13 people. Until it's time for the second and later twilights to be carried out. Throw them into the cage of sacrifices.
A cashmere mop, huh? Understood.
As the Gaap shrugged her shoulders, she looked at Kraus, who was still down on his butt. She glared. Then when she snapped her fingers, Kraus was swallowed up by the floor, as though a round pitfall had opened up beneath him.
Nah, nah.
One down. There was no hole in the floor, but it certainly looked as though Kraus had been swallowed up by a hole and disappeared. Searching for her next prey, the Gaap's gaze crossed Kyrie's. She snapped her fingers. Kyrie jumped back as though repelled. Her instincts had been right. After all, in the place where she'd been until a second ago, a round, jet-black hole had appeared, the same kind that had swallowed up Kraus. However, before she could catch her balance, another pitfall appeared and swallowed her up. Even Kyrie had no way of eluding the Gaap's capture.
Yeet!
Yeet! Brr, brr. When she snapped her fingers again, a shocked Nanjo was swallowed up by the floor and disappeared. When she did it again, 410 let out a short yell and jumped back. This time a slightly larger pitfall had opened, swallowing both Shannon and Cannon, who had been standing in line by the door. But because 410 had jumped away from the door, the way was no longer blocked. Boo! Instinctively aware that he would be next, Goda dashed out through that door. Of course, Kumasawa also escaped with lightning speed, chasing after Goda. As the Gaap snapped her fingers over and over, round, jet-black pitfalls opened one after another behind them, chasing them. However, they did nothing but drive the recklessly fleeing pair away, and couldn't swallow them up. Goda and Kumasawa had escaped in a matter of seconds.
I'd gotten slow. I let two get away.
Don't worry, we are currently locking onto the escapee targets. Data link ready. Shall we snipe?
No, I cannot authorize that. They are precious sacrifices. Wait for the Master's authorization.
Great Lord Goldsmith, we await your orders. It is still too soon for the coming of the second twilight, is what the source of my magical power is whispering to me. It must not be now. Let them do as they please. It isn't as though they can escape from this island. The source of the Master's magical power is noise and risk and tests of luck. In other words, it means being fickle, it would seem. Perhaps you could also put it that way. Good work, Gaap. Let us steadily... The Gaap.
Thank you.
Let us steadily advance the ceremony from here on. Well then, that is that. Next are my grandchildren. I will test them to see whether they are qualified to become my successor. Let's see, how shall I test their qualifications? If you decide that they're qualified, do you intend to abandon Beato's resurrection? Of course, and despite that, I will test them. Perhaps a woman cannot understand that contradiction, nor my madness. Even I can't understand my madness sometimes. You discard into exile, but then you can cast it from exile. That's weird, mechanically.
Well, apparently men are as weird as ever. You don't get the very concept of playing around with risk.
Oh my, I thought you loved that sort of thing.
Of course. If a man whispers to me about dangerous risks in love, I'll go head over heels. But only if he's hot.
Be quiet. Try to refrain from whispering. Truly noisy women. But at least they aren't boring. This is what makes summoning so pleasant. All of you will bear one side of the scales of noise and risk in my ceremony. That is the work I accept of you.
6 brutally murdered corpses lay in the dining hall, and it was contaminated with red, gruesome decorations. It was now unimaginable that, until just a second ago, 13 humans had arranged here in a well-organized manner. Kinzo lined up the famous demons and their subordinates, loudly declared the beginning of a night of overwhelming mass murderers, and swore to himself that he would certainly revive Beatrice and open the door to the Golden Land.
Sorry to keep you waiting.
Kept you waiting, huh?
Now the curtain finally rises on the first twilight. That Kinzo, I see he loves being flashy as usual. So even that man, who can be more persistent than anything when he follows you around, can shine so when on the stage.
Damn, always killing in a grotesque way as usual. Smashing half their heads? Bad taste you witches and demons have always pisses me off.
Smashing half of their heads? I see. So she's realized that in the games up until now, that's been the most ideal method of killing.
Ideal? That was such a grotesque way of killing Ideal.
Hey, it's me! Everyone's favorite new character, the Gaap. Everyone applaud for me now. Do it. Do it. Do it. Good enough. Isn't it, though? Try and remember the very first game.
You. So you're that new demon or whatever that just appeared. Damn, so does this mean the witch's corrosion continued? There aren't even more creeps wandering around? The more witch's corrosion advances, the more Rokkenjima tilts towards the spirit world. That's why strange, insane people keep appearing one by one. This island has been closed off by the typhoon, so no human can leave it, much less appear as a new character to increase their numbers. But the more corrosion advances, the more witches and demons can appear without limit, increasing one by one. By now, there might be more demons than humans among the characters appearing in this insane tale. The numbers might be the thing that represents this mad corrosion.
Thank you, Ryokishio7.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm sure that's true. And the corrosion hasn't just affected the number of people, but apparently their fashion sense as well.
Got him!
I mean, what do you expect? I show up at my own namesake. Double got him!
The corrosion advances any further and even more weird people appear. Just what in the world will they be wearing? It's so scary I can't imagine.
That's the thing Battler's scared of.
Seriously, give me a break. Don't make these weird guys increase in number anymore.
I can't do that. They'll keep increasing more and more. I'll defile the foolish closed circle rule humans speak of over and over again. Welcome to my elegant game, Gaap. The Gaap.
Thank you. It's been a long time, Riche. Have you been well?
What does that mean?
Why do I ask? Do you look great? Have you gotten younger? You look 200 or 300 years younger than when I last saw you. I see.
The demon grandfather had summoned and introduced as the Gaap. Took a glance at me, then grinned as though she'd figure out something out on her own. That smile felt openly obscene. I guess she's Beto's friend, which means she's gotta be a creep among creeps. What is with that name, though? Riche.
Yeah, what does that...
Oh, wait, Beato Riche.
Oh! Instead of calling her by the Beato part,
Yes.
they are calling her by the last part.
Yes, yes. By the way, they were saying something about a closed circle or whatever. What does that mean?
Serial murder mystery novels that occur in places isolated from the outside world, like Rokkenjima is now, are sometimes called closed circles. Since such a place is isolated from the outside, it's like a circle that's closed. Have you ever seen a circle that's not closed?
Yep.
False. Fuck you. Therefore, in general, the characters and suspects are limited in number. That's just an arc. God. Having new suspect candidates added on one after another from outside the circle goes against the etiquette of mystery novels and geometry. In other words, the witch is probably trying to desecrate humans and the mystery genre itself.
Unless it's non-Euclidean geometry.
Okay.
Point Battler. Yes.
You're Gradle. I see you look like a wise kid. I love kids like you. You taste so sweet and tantalizing.
Gross. Keep the jokes to your clothing.
Wow. It's Devilish Pretty's newest, Jack the Ripper Christmas Blood. Sorry for having a style that a country bumpkin from the human world couldn't understand, okay?
At least we know it's well ventilated. Why don't you add a gap to the head part as well? Let a little air into your brain.
Wow. That's savage. Damn it, Dreidel. You're just like...
The Gaap is always sensitive to the fashions of the spirit world. But this year's fad truly is bold. I think I'll order one sometime.
For you, Riche, I'd recommend Ollie Gray, Alice in the Graveyard. Let's go to 666 sometime to look at the clothes. You really should drop by the spirit world every now and then.
When this game is over, I'll be sure to do that.
She says, oh yeah, totally, we'll make plans. Doesn't make plans.
Okay, but consider, spin-off that's just Beato's shopping trip.
With the Gaap. Yay, I like that. That'd be funny. That'd be funny.
Beato heading out for a night on the town with the gals. Girls' night out in hell.
Still, your two opponents are pretty cute, Riche. Reese? Still looks like this kid has figured out the meaning of the corpses with their heads half smashed. Know what that is, girl?
Just now she told me to remember the first game. What does that mean?
Just what it sounds like. Remember the first Twilight of the very first game? When the adults' corpses were found in the gardening shed with the magic circle drawn on it. Remember?
I remember. Episode 1. The First Twilight. Kraus, Rudolph, Kyrie, Rosa, Shannon, and Goda. All 6 of them had their heads pulverized and died.
At that time, there were 2 types of corpses. Some had their faces pulverized, and some had half of their faces pulverized. That's right, the ones with their faces smashed were Rudolph, Kyrie, Rosa, and Goda. The ones with the sides of their heads smashed were Kraus and Shanna.
Interesting. Interesting. So that's inconsistent, then.
At the time, I fickly created 2 types of corpses, but I've realized that the former, more atrocious type was actually disadvantageous for me.
Disadvantageous, because then you could argue, since you can't see their face and identify it.
Yeah.
Yep. Disadvantageous for you. I see. So that's what this is. That's right. The smashed faces might look atrocious. That made it hard to confirm the identity of each person. For example, at that time, Uncle Kraus and Shannon had had their heads half smashed. That alone was atrocious enough, but because half their faces remained, it was easy to confirm their identities. But Dad and the other 3 were different. Because his face had been completely destroyed, even I, as his son, could only guess by inference that it had to be Dad because of his clothes and the like. In short, it remained vague until the end whether that had really been Dad's corpse. If this reasoning's battle had taken place during the first game as well, I would probably have claimed that since the identities of Dad and the rest's bodies were impossible to confirm, there was a possibility that one was a fake corpse. After all, Beato didn't state anything in red during that game.
Well done, correct. A fake death is one of the basics of the mystery genre. Even if you make a doctor examine the corpse, you can't trust the results if you suspect him of being the culprit's accomplice. Therefore, corpses that can't guarantee a death for certain are always disadvantageous for the witch's side.
You can suspect fake deaths for all corpses, hypothesizing that one or more of them is the culprit for the crimes that follow. It's a move Battler doesn't like, but it's the most elementary move to use against a witch.
Yeah, that's right. That's why Beato started using the red. With the red truth, she can carry out a perfect autopsy.
That's how it is. Normally, for the first Twilight, I would use the red truth right away, confirming the deaths of these 6. However, as you know, my battle strategy this time is the complete opposite of previous games, and I'll now use red truth starvation tactics. Since you use it as a grounding from which to counterattack, I will not use the red easily. I'll make you come apart at the seams by using red in just a single place, as rarely as possible. In the end, it means I will permit all rants regarding your guesswork for all of the closed rooms, and I only have to smash one of those once with the red truth.
Even though you've always teased me, once I start counterattacking, you hole up back inside your shell. Quit kidding around.
At any rate, I do not want to use the red. I want to be stingy. I want to bully Battler. But how could I guarantee a death for certain without using red? I worried and worried over it. Then, the Gaap gave me an idea. It truly is a simple method.
I just pointed out something obvious and you hit upon the idea, Reesh. I simply said that you had to create corpses whose identity could be distinguished, and whose complete death would be understood.
In short, I've put those 2 things together. The face, which is necessary to distinguish their identity, and the pulverization of the head, the vessel for the soul, which is the perfect symbol of death. When I put those 2 parts neatly together, wonderful. Came up with the perfect answer of corpses with their heads half smashed.
I bet you love 2 love-colored bread and... I bet you love 2 colored bread and 2 colored ice cream. You're just like a greedy kid.
Actually, I prefer Neapolitan.
That doesn't change my point.
I think it does.
No, that's
Do you want
3
ice
colors.
cream?
I do, but... Actually, yeah, can we, like... Gradle, you feeling it? You feeling it? We can just...
No!
You sure?
Everywhere's closed.
Okay, that's fine.
Do they even sell ice cream on Rokkenjima?
They do.
Huh.
I know, right? There's a Starbucks everywhere you go.
At any rate, even if half their heads are smashed, we shouldn't assume that they're dead at this point in time.
I get it. Since Beto is trying to act tough and is refusing to say anything in red, we gotta suspect everything. Of course, I'm definitely not gonna swallow the theory of a magical mass murder by the Chester-ass Nachons.
Yeah, you sure have gotten prudent. If this were a first game, you would have swallowed everything.
I wouldn't have anything less from Arrival. Since there is fortunately no red now, he can imagine whatever he wants and reason over and over again as he likes. At the very end, at the very sweetest spot, I'll cut him down at once with the red truth.
This game is just wild.
Yeah?
This is
The cast increases. We've got 2 more.
This is so great. I'm glad I can start reusing voices for some of them.
Yeah, it'll be necessary. There's no way.
Yeah, there's no way.
We should check their profiles.
We should.
If they exist.
Yeah, you know what? Let's do that right here.
Yeah, let's check that out.
Hold on, whoever's having a moment here. Let's profile.
Oh, it's interesting that they're not
No deaths are marked yet. And hey, the Gaap is here.
Sakutaro's death is marked, though.
Oh, wow. Poor lad.
Lady Maria's white heart, which was torn apart, his broken vessel can only be regenerated by the Meister who created him. Rosa, all caps. Interesting. However, Rosa disposed of the vessel's fragments and even lost the pattern paper. On top of that, his existence was denied by the Meister herself, so his resurrection is now impossible. The Meister died in 1986, and any chance for his resurrection disappeared for all time. Even the endless witch Beatrice could not manage it.
And yet somehow Angie did?
Yeah.
The Gaap. One of the 72 great demons, also Beatrice's friend. When a magician demands it, she grants the ability of instantaneous movement. She uses this extraordinary power for playing pranks, mostly. Her specialty is hiding keys in bags during busy mornings.
Hiding keys, huh?
Yeah, yep, that seems to be it. However, in the context of closed room mysteries, this power becomes an ultimate weapon that can easily strike a finishing blow. Her queen bee strikes are likely to pierce any and all detectives, forcing them to surrender. Yeah, the outfit design of this game sure is,
Sure is something.
It's sure something.
Why can't anybody have a skirt that goes all the way around? Why is this an Atelier game?
I got it.
Is there a profile for the new Chester?
For the new Chester, that's actually a good question. I did not think to check the new Chesters. Chester 00. A weapon of the Sisters Cavalry, which serves at Pendragon. 00 is their calm and composed leader. However, this is merely the role demanded of her, since she is far more frail by nature. 00 exceeds at reconnaissance and serving as an advance guard, displaying extreme supremacy in unexpected encounters. However, her excessively powerful fighting strength has been called inhumane, and it isn't rare for her to be lynched and abused when she surrenders on the battlefield.
What?
Her one eye silently speaks to that.
Huh. Indeed.
So why is she numbered differently from the other Chesters?
I don't know.
I thought at first like maybe they're just like abbreviating Chester 400, but that doesn't seem to be the case. 410, 45, and 00. Actually, those are all pretty wildly different now that I think of it.
Maybe there's 411 of them and we'll get introduced to them all.
I can't wait. See you next time.
Smash that like, comment and subscribe.